This is Michael Prestwich. I'm president of ImagiSOFT. We've been around since 1982 and have developed software systems for the financial services industry. I have Brent with me. He requested a personalized tour of our Roth IRA conversion software, so I thought I'd make it a training class and record that. Brent, after you've gone into our software, anybody can install a 7-day trial. So if you go to ImagiSOFT.com and then click this install link right here, you see the Roth IRA is the very first one. Now, one of the most common questions that we have is, can I put it on my laptop? Can I put it on my desktop? Can my assistant use it? And the answer is yes. We license this software not to you, not to the computer that you're on, but to you, Brent. So you can put that on multiple computers. So go ahead and just click this link, install it on your laptop, your desktop, and so forth. Now that brings up a question, how do you keep your data organized? Well, if you come into the Roth IRA conversion software, there will be an icon on your desktop. You'll click that, you'll get into it, and you'll go File, Backup. And then you can see that there's an E drive here. It's just a little like a USB port we recommend you put in there. You put it on drive E, you click OK, and then just back it up. Give it a description, anything you want, Mike's backup. And then press OK, and then it'll store it on that E drive. The same thing is true. You take it from your laptop. Let's say this is my laptop, and go over to my desktop or my assistants, and I go File, Restore. Do the same thing. Go over to the E. Find, it'll say Mike's backup here somewhere. Just open that up and then restore the cases that you want to. It's real easy to figure out, but those are real common questions. Okay, another one is you put in your name. Excuse me, that's the client's name. When you register the software, it asks for your name. It asks for your phone number and email. These are things you cannot change. This is sort of like our copy protection. If it's on several different computers, as long as it has the same name, then we know it's registered to you. But you put in your name, your company name, your company address, state, and so forth. If you have a broker-dealer, you'd put in that as well. And then you go File, Save as Default. And so that way, when you come into the software for the first time, if you do File New, or when you first come into the software, it's going to have all of this information saved. You don't have to type it in each and every time. Now, about 1/3 of the people who buy our software are CPAs or other qualified tax advisors. If that's what you are, then you click this right here, and it'll take off all of the places where in the notes where it says I do not give tax advice. Obviously, qualified tax advisors do give tax advice, so that's what that would be there. So now I've got some files saved. So we go File, Open, and it will take all of my saved cases. You can see I've got some sample cases right here. So I'm going to open up John J. Sample. So as you can see, it has my advisor information in, the client information. This particular client is age 65, assumed to die at age 86. Now, Brett, I don't know if when you were first ran the software, if you saw this estimate key. There's about a 20-question estimator here for life expectancy. So you got this guy's 6'2", 255. He's got kind of a belly on him. Do you live alone? No, he's married, and so forth. He doesn't do these puzzles and keep his mind as active maybe as he should, watches too much TV like a lot of us do. You go through the end of that thing, it ends up with age 86. On the other hand, you look at his wife, she's 10 years younger, she's still working. You go through the estimate here on her, and she comes up to age 96. She's very, very active. She exercises every day. She's involved in the community, involved with her family, and so forth. And so she ends up with a high life expectancy. Every client is different. And so in this particular client's case, you would ask them what the purpose would be for their 401k and other assets. And they come back with the answer, I want to leave as much money as I can to my kids. Now you have different objectives. Generally, people want to maintain their own standard of living and their kids don't matter, or they have a lot of money, like this case here, and they really care about their kids and their grandkids. Then you have other people who want to maximize their income. A lot of times single people are that way. Then you have other people who, like in the case of this one here, a secondary category might be to maintain the standard of living after the spouse dies. This lady could be a widow for 20 years. And so we're going to look at that as a secondary category. And lastly, there's the long-term care, some kind of an emergency, sometimes extraordinary expenses that you don't really count on happening. You can illustrate those. So those are like 5 different scenarios, Brent, that we can look at. Now, don't you sell annuities? Okay. Now, there's annuity suitability laws. Probably the toughest is the state of Florida. Arkansas is pretty hard. California has started to adopt these, and they're just something that happened in the House where they're going to put all of the suitability laws that the NAIC has put in place in 42 states in all of the states. So it's getting to be more and more of an issue to do suitability. Now, what do the suitability laws say? If you go to our website, ImagiSOFT.com, and if you pull down this DataNet, Life and Annuity Software DataNet, you'll see that the suitability law goes into a lot of detail. And I'm not going to really go into that now. You can look at that later if you'd like. But basically, you have to ask the client questions. You have to ask them about their income. You notice that our Roth IRA software does that, both client and spouse income. You have to ask them about their tax situation. You have to ask about their future income goals. You have to ask about their assets, the purpose of each asset, and their risk tolerance. So that's kind of the point of view. In other words, it has to be suitable. How does your annuity fit in? Is it suitable? Is it not? So let's go in and ask them about their income, and it's pretty simple. You just press the view right here, and this guy has $24,000 a year of Social Security, so you enter in $24,000. It's all done annually, not the monthly, increasing by 3% from age 65, and to put it through the end, just put in age 99. And that gives you their income. Now, you can also go in and you can edit one of these here. If you think for some reason it's going to be 28,000, I mean, you can do that. You can put in any number you want there. Okay, now defined benefit plans, the same thing. 94,000 staying level, 0% increase from 65 to 99. Press OK. Then the spouse. She's working. So yes, you can work with people who are working and put in 60,000, increasing by 3% from 55 through age 64. All these ages are the client's ages. So, and it doesn't matter if it's the husband or the wife that becomes the spouse. You can work either way. Then she'll have defined benefit plans, and then Social Security. Excuse me, the wife's ages on the spouse income is her age that you're putting in. Everything else, except for this area, is the spouse's age. The client, the guy right here, starts at age 65. So we put in the income, then we put the tax assumptions, married filing jointly, itemized deductions, excluding mortgage interest. The way you do mortgage interest, since it's going to change every year, you do it on the before side, and you put it in here. Their house is paid off, so it's not really a factor. Okay, so now we ask about the assets. Each asset group can have different rates of return. Now, some people ask, why do you do that? Other software just has one big asset class. Well, first of all, different assets are taxed different ways. So your savings and money markets and CDs and bonds are taxed. Their interest is taxed every year. And so we take that income tax into account. Any withdrawal from this IRA is taxed. Any withdrawal from a Roth IRA comes back tax-free. The stocks and investments gets taxed at a 15% rate. We know that's a simplified model, that it gets taxed as if it were at 15%, and I believe that rate is proposed to go up to 25% starting in 2011, so that rate is used. So again, you can put deposits in here with the from age through age, or withdrawals in any of these assets in the from age through age. In this particular case, I'm going to assume that they want to leave as much money as they can to their kids, and so the withdrawals are 0 all years. Now what's going to happen to this guy is, starting at age 70 or 70 and a half, depends on the birth date you put in, it's going to look at this number 0 and say that's less than the required minimum distribution. It's going to automatically figure the required minimum distribution. If I put $50,000 per year in here, then that's more than the required minimum distribution, and so it wouldn't have the RMD. But I'm just going to leave 0 in there. Okay, and so the residence, since the house is paid off, it really plays no role. You could have left all these blank, but I just left it in there. So now let's go to the Roth screen. People quite often look at this graph and they say, now what am I looking at? What you're looking at is, you're looking at this top line is their total income, which we call cash flow. We call it cash flow because it's not really taxable income. If I made a withdrawal from this savings or money market fund, that would be a tax-free withdrawal. It's already been taxed, but it would be money that they would intend to spend. So this is money that they are spending. So you can see here's their income, and they tell you, you know, I can live on $125,000 per year after tax, just comfortably. And as you can see, our income is higher than that. So we want to leave as much money to the kids and grandkids as we can. Now, you can see what happens here at age 70 and a half. All of a sudden we get this large jump. What is that large jump? Well, that's $1 million in their 401k IRA qualified plan assets that they're earning 4% return on, and now they're having to get a required distribution. One of the questions you would have asked them is, what kind of accounts do you have in your qualified assets? And they said, you know, we've got it, you know, in a brokerage account. We used to have it in stocks. We lost a lot of money in there. You know, we've got more money than we need. We just want it to be conservative. We just don't want it to lose any money. Okay, well, that makes sense. So that's why it's at 4%. It's in a lot of money market, but there's some bonds in there, and there's some dividend-paying stocks and so forth. It's a good blend. Okay. So then you can see the wife retires here, and then the income goes up, and then it drops. What's this big drop? Well, the drop is we assume that in a defined benefit plan that half of this money goes away when he dies. And so then we have Social Security, and of course she loses half of that when he dies. Now some people say, well, what if they have a 2/3 in survivor? What if they have a level in survivor? Well, if they have a level, you go to age 86 when he dies, and you just double this amount, because we're going to cut whatever number it is in half. So that's what the assumption is there. Okay, so now we go back to the Roth. This RMD right here is based on his age, then it's based on her age, and that's the income. So all of that adds up. You take the total top line there, it all adds up to almost $7.5 million. This red part is the income taxes. It's $1.5 million, leaving them $6 million of discretionary income, getting the remaining assets at the end, when she dies, age 96, of $1.6 million. So Brent, are you pretty clear with me there where we're at? Okay, so that's, yeah, exactly, because, you know, the simplified calculators that are out there, the one that we show on our website, just can't do the job. It just doesn't work, because they don't ask enough questions. They ask, well, first of all, they ask about tax brackets. And so I have that listed right here in this other software. They ask about tax brackets, and then they ask about income, and then when do you want to start taking your income? And those just don't cut it. They just don't cut it. You can see here's the inputs for this particular one here. The amount to convert. You can see the tax rate. They're currently in a 28% bracket. What will they be afterwards? Well, we know that they're going to be in a higher bracket later, because in 2011 the Bush laws sunsets. We put 31%. And then we gave them a rate of return, and you can see the tax is $280,000. Well, let's go ahead and do a conversion here. On the Roth tab, you do a conversion. And one of the things that makes ours different is you can do multiple conversions. You don't just do one conversion. You do multiple ones. And you give it a name. I'm going to call this Kids. And I'm going to take $1 million. And I'm going to convert that in 2010, which is about 2 weeks away. Okay, the tax then I need to select a product. So out of all these products here, which do you think would give the most growth, Brent, in your, or even the ones you sell even there? Okay, okay. So you're doing a variable annuity with, do you use you wouldn't use an income rider. These particular variable annuities that I have lots of loads and income riders. So one of the things you could do is you could just use the word hypothetical. Anytime you sell a security, you can do hypothetical because they don't like to have a particular name in it. You wouldn't call it the Prudential. One guy likes the Prudential, what's it called? The Daily High Value or something, I don't remember. You wouldn't put that name in there. And then since it's for the kids, a lot of financial advisors tell me they use 8%. It's going to be a 35-year period, hypothetically, when the wife dies and the kids end up with the money. So you could use 8%, but let's just see if the concept works. Let's use the exact same interest rate that they're doing now. So 4% to 4% shows that the concept works. If you can give them some kind of a higher blend, then we'll do that. So let's go ahead and just do that. Hypothetical 4. Tax strategy, use their current assets. So we're going to pay out of that. That's the one you should use 95% of the time. You can use an equity line of credit, and you can use a part of the Roth, and that's what this one is right here. This is the equity line of credit. This one can be construed as a linked transaction. Something goes wrong with your Roth, something goes wrong with their equity line of credit, the bank calls in the note or whatever it is, and then they point the finger at you and they said, he did that to pay the Roth taxes, and then you could be in trouble, you could lose your license. I would recommend that you do this one. And if they don't have the current assets, then make them sign something, make them talk you into using one of the other two. That's my point of view. You may or may not agree with that. The tax year. And if you pay in 2010, everybody's talking about, if you look at all the articles, they say, hey, and it's got this wonderful provision, allows you to pay the taxes in 2011 and 2012. So what's going to happen if we select this? What's going to happen is half of this money, $500,000, is going to be declared in the tax year 2011 and $500,000 in the tax year 2012. And then income options, we can put a specified amount in with one of those from age through age, but we don't want to do that this time. We want to have no income and have the kids get all the money, which this other one here doesn't even allow that option. Most of these simple calculators are all talking about income. They don't give you that option. So let's do that. Okay, as you can see, this right here is what you're going to be looking at. The total cost. How much does it cost? What are the taxes? That is the yellow part right here. The taxes are $273,000. The benefit is $1.2 million. If this is positive, that means that the Roth is in their advantage. If it's negative, it means it's not in their advantage. So let's go back to that simple one again. What did it say the tax was going to be? 28% of $1 million is $280,000. Brent, I don't know how you would feel, but 2 years later, they see their CPA, they've got this extra tax coming in, and the accountant says it's $273,000, and the client realizes that you have put them in a place where you're $100,000 short of what you talked about. How would you like to be in that position? Not good. Not good. That's why so many CPAs use this calculator, because it's not based on doing tax brackets. It's based on actual tax rates. And one of the ways you can do that is you can show this. Now, a lot of people say this is the most powerful part of our software. Of course, we get varying opinions on what the most powerful thing is, but they like to show the clients exactly how their taxes work and what's going to happen. So here they are today. You notice we have a 10% tax bracket in 2009. That'll continue next year into 2010. Then it goes up to 15%, that's the blue, 25, this purple, and a little tiny bit of 28%. So then if I just take this little bar and I hold my mouse down and I drag it over 1, this is 2010. So you can see our taxes are $28,000. Again, we still have the same tax brackets that we have there. Now I'm going to go to 2011. Here's 2011. You notice that green is gone. There is no 28% bracket. And if you were really paying attention, you can see that this $56,000 is where the 15% goes away. The year before, it was $68,000. That's called the marriage penalty. It's back in 2011. So you kick into the 15% quicker than if you were two single people filing a return. Then you'll notice that the purple has turned into 28% from 25%, and then the red is now 31% instead of 28%. So we have a tax increase that happens in 2011 and thereafter. And if you look at the right, we've added $500,000 to his income. And you see the bulk of it gets taxed here at this 36% and then 39%, 39.6% right up here. And that there's like half of it is on that 39.6. Now, if the House passes their surcharges and so forth, your clients can be taxed even more. So $373,000. I'll look at 2012. You see it's the exact same logic. And then 2013 and thereafter, since we're not paying taxes on the interest on this before right here, since this is mostly gone, when we paid the taxes, this $50,000 went away, and then the CDs and bonds mostly went away. You're not earning this interest anymore, and that's why the taxes are lower. Okay, let's go back and edit this particular rollover. And let's say that, yes, $373, right there. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I did say that the other software was saying 280, and that's probably where I got myself confused. So let's change that instead of, and this is one of the reasons you virtually have to work with the CPA, is you want to point this out to the CPA because a lot of them haven't looked at this yet. They're starting to now, since 2010 is only a few weeks away. They're building spreadsheets and they're looking at this. They're searching for software. Let's pay in the current tax year 2010 rather than doing the little government's supposedly good deal of 2011 and 12. Now watch the 373. Notice it went down to 342. So there's $30,000 different. And based on this 2% return that they have over here that's taxable, they're not going to make that up in interest. They're going to make a little bit of it up in interest, but you can see that it's basically $30,000 less to pay it in 2010. So if I were an advisor like you are, Brett, I used to be back in 1982, did financial planning, and any time the client's income taxes were affected by a significant amount, by $4,000 or $5,000, I would talk to them and I'd say, I do not give income tax advice. I'm licensed to sell insurance and annuities. I'm licensed to sell investments, but not licensed. I'm not a CPA. And so there may be things that I don't see on your income tax return that your CPA knows about and would talk about. So would it be okay if I went and talked to the CPA? And they'd say, sure, go talk to him. I said, he charges, I earn my money through commissions. He earns his money by charging fees. I'm thinking he's going to want about a 4-hour fee out of you. Do you know what he charges? Oh, maybe $150 an hour. So $600, I think. Don't you think $600 would be a good investment into your CPA's time to make sure this thing is right for you? And they'd say, yeah, I think it is. Okay, if the CPA puts his rubber stamp on it, just based on what we're looking at here, we're looking at about a $1.3 million benefit for an investment, upfront investment of $342,000. And they say, well, maybe I'd want to learn more about it. Well, I can certainly tell them more about it, so we'll go ahead and do that. So here's the cash flow summary. Now, the middle one here is you can view the asset balance. And you can say, okay, Mr. Sample, this is where you currently are. Is your money is growing, and then it is leveling off. Now, why is it leveling off? It's because the intent of Congress is they put in the required minimum distribution. The intent of Congress is not to have your inside growth grow and give it to your kids. The intent of Congress is for you to take that money and to spend it and not give it to your kids. And that's why it stays pretty much level after that. And then your 401k plan would all be taxed if your kids took it in a lump sum. They don't have to take it in a lump sum, but they probably don't know that. And if they do take it in a lump sum, they're going to be taxed very heavily on that $1.5 million left over. Now you can see the difference over here. You can see the little dip. This dip right here is this $342,000 you have to pay out of your assets right here. So that's where that money is there. Then so it starts lower, and then it continues to grow, and there's a break-even point, and I can show you that on the actual ledger. But that's where it grows to $4 million. So then let's look at the output. How would you use the output? If you have a, and I should show you this, Brent, the disclosure changes if you have a securities license. And so you should, here's the disclosure, it's the standard disclosure that CPAs, attorneys, and insurance agents have. But if you have a broker-dealer, you put in their name and their address and their phone and so forth like that. And then what happens is you get a different disclaimer. And so it comes up with the name of the securities company, and you should send it to the securities company. We do have an NASD approval on this, approval letter from a securities company that we can give you, so you can give it to your, your people there, and then they can look at it. Okay, would you benefit from a Roth conversion? This is basically just a philosophical thing. Should you pay your money up front? And as you can see, paying the money up front, we've come up with this analysis here that said, yes, that would work. Taxes are on sale through 2010. A lot of people are using that statement to get people into seminars and talk about the advantages of this Roth IRA and other tax things. As you know, Brent, I don't know if did you use seminars at all? Okay, some people do, and there's some danger in using seminars because SEC people are going to maybe sitting in there, and they might be sitting there asking you questions and trying to trap you into making blanket statements that apply to everyone. And of course, there are no blanket statements that apply to everyone. So you have to keep it very, very general and not product specific if you do a seminar. But they'll use this as a seminar and say, let us sit down with you and talk to you about it. And this is one of the things they talk about. One guy, when he gets them into the seminars, he just leaves this sample case out for people to look at. And they read this kinds of things. And he talks about them in the slides that he made. Okay, well, income taxes rise even higher in the future. Well, if President Obama follows FDR's lead, then he may increase taxes again. And one of the things our software allows you to do is to go in and increase the taxes, let's say by 3%, starting in the year 2014 when President Obama gets reelected. If President Obama gets his way, he'll also impose a 28% limit on itemized deductions. And if the House gets their way, they'll also have this health care surcharge. So let's just say that happens 4 years from now. Then we can actually look at the Roth and see what the benefit is. And you can see it's higher by over $100,000 because taxes have gone up. And you can see that on the bracket adjustments here. If you go out, you're now in a 34% bracket instead of a 31, a 31 instead of a 28, so forth. So that's a good discussion point. If your client believes that taxes are going up, then you can show them that in the illustration, and it's basically them saying it, not you saying it. Okay, so here's the opportunity for everyone in 2010. It eliminates the $100,000 income, and we all, as financial advisors, know about that. And then when you check on some of these things over here in the income, then these kick in. If you turn them off, it'll just have this one right here, which is the Bush tax cuts being eliminated. So that's the assumptions we're using. And here's the Roth IRA advantages, and most financial advisors know what that is. And can you benefit from having a Roth? Well, the pages that come in later will discuss that. So here is the tax-free income and legacy for heirs. And so here's what you do, is you convert the $1 million, then the cost is $242,000, and then use the existing assets. You choose, one of these three ways, and you'd circle that use existing assets because that's what we're showing you to do. And then the Roth IRA graph on the right shows $983,000 lower after-tax income during the next 35 years. That graph is the same one as we saw over here. It's this one here. So you can see that one that if you're using a laptop using it in front of the client, it's these same two graphs. And then you can see that you end up with 2.3 million higher assets during the next 35 years. And so that's the benefit. That's where that benefit comes from. Okay, so there's their benefit analysis if you wanted to show that. Some people are less patient than others. Some people will really drag you through it, and some people want to see other these things. But a good talking point is this emergency fund right here. So here, the chart at the right shows what happens if you need $100,000 hypothetically, just 5 years from now. So you have to take a $164,000 distribution, pay $64,000 or $65,000 there in taxes to end up with your $100,000. Now let's say this was a nursing home payment every year. The last 4 or 5 years you end up in a retirement home or an assisted needs or a nursing home or a full-time facility. Let's say it costs $100,000 a year. You can see a lot of people, they self-insure. They don't have long-term care insurance, and so that's what it would cost you every year. It really costs $165,000 a year instead of $100,000 a year. Whereas if you had everything in a Roth, you just pull out the $100,000, don't pay any taxes. And so the Roth makes a huge difference because when you take the time value of money of that $65,000 in taxes, just at 5% return, in 10 years that makes another $100,000 difference, $172,000 in 20 years. Then there's this after-tax comparison. So this is showing the cash flow. This right here, this discretionary income and the income taxes, that all, again, goes back to this Roth page. So this is the top line, the total discretionary income. The red is the taxes, and the after-tax is the blue. And then you have the total asset balance. That's the same thing as this middle one right here, this green. So you can do everything from these front ones, but a lot of people like to see numbers. Some like to see the picture, some people like to see the numbers. And so we give you both ways to be able to do that. Now this little color right here is when the Roth strategy actually comes out ahead. So you have more discretionary income starting in the 3rd year. And the reason for that is because, again, you're not paying income taxes on this accumulation over here from the CDs. So it happens pretty quickly for these people. Now when the assets cross, it's when it turns green right here. So at age 78, there's actually more money, and that's shown on this one here. It'd be age 78, right in here would be where these things cross. So when does the Roth work for people? In general, it works for people who want to keep their money as long as possible. So time value of money, they're not paying the taxes. First of all, they're not withdrawing the RMD. Second of all, they're not they're earning interest on that RMD over here, and that's why the system works. Now, as you pointed out, this could be a very mixed situation. You could say, yes, I agree with your 4% scenario if you were going to take the income from it. And if you notice what happens to the wife right here, after you pass away, her income drops. She's got 20 years while you're alive, then it drops in half. And so looking here at age 86, you can see the income drops at the next year to $196,000. And look what happens in the taxes. The taxes don't drop proportionately to the income. They're still pretty high. And why is that? She's now single with one exemption instead of married with two. So she has to pay higher taxes percentage-wise on less income, and it just drops her by $50,000. Well, look at that. The next year it's even more. So she drops from $201,000 all the way down to $130-something thousand. It just isn't fair. And so a logical question is we look at the wife and say, would you like to supplement your retirement income with the Roth? She'd probably say, yeah, that makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this Roth, or this kid's inheritance, and I'm going to do two things. First of all, I would discuss time. If it's for the kids, and if that's assuming the wife lives 35 more years, 35 years away, it seems to me that it would be suitable, instead of having them earn 4% for the kids' part, that they should earn something like 8%. Does that make sense to you, Brent? Put them into a more aggressive fund, the kids' part. This is the kids' part. So we cut this conversion in half. So we do that, and we just leave that alone. I'm going to say OK. And so now I'm going to go add, and I'm going to call this one wife's income. And I'm going to take everything else, and I'm going to put it in the wife's income. I'm going to do that in 2010. And I'm going to agree with them that the 4% was the best place to be. Some kind of a bond, mixed up kind of fund, highly diversified. Should do well. But then I'm going to come down here to do income options, and I'm going to put in $75,000 per year, increasing by 3% from age 86 when the husband dies through the end, age 99. So you can see how that increases every year. And then you did that with the specified amount. Of course, we already talked about paying it in the current tax year, so let's say OK on that. So now we've got the same similar looking thing, except instead of a drop right here, first of all, instead of an income increase that we have here because of the RMD, we don't need the income increase there. We need it out here after the husband passes away. So now instead of this drop, we actually have increase going up here. So we've done a suitable sale. We've actually split the account into two things, 8% the kids' account, the 4% for the wife's account, and as you can see, the benefit is now $6 million rather than, what was it before, $1.5 million, something like that. The 4% to 4% proved the IRA, or the Roth IRA concept. The other one showed a little more planning insight and gave us the reason for the change. Having a professional advisor, income advisor, something that they're not having now, helps the situation. And so the one thing we haven't shown is this umbrella page right here. So here's the one called Kids Inheritance, $500,000. We're going to do that in 2010 in a hypothetical 8% fund. It's going to cost $167,000 to do that on that particular rollover. And they're going to have $500,000 inside this Roth IRA. Then they're going to have one called Wife's Income, where we're using 4%, another $189,000 on that. And then the last things here, when you start seeing these little tiny print, this one is the detail page. We used to have this up in the help calculation details. I would say for 90% of all clients, you wouldn't even have that detail page. You wouldn't even put it on. You'd stop right here. If you're going to show the accountant, put the detail page on. For the, when you send it to your broker-dealer, put the detail page on. But unless the client is an engineer, I wouldn't even put that on there. Now, you should study it to know where all the numbers come from. And so basically, Brent, all of the numbers are shown there. Do you have any questions that come up? Yeah. Have I explained this pretty well? That would be great. Well, that's true too. People should go through. We do have our training classes. If you go to our website, if you look at the date that we're going to hold the next one, the next one is Friday, December 18th. So that's this Friday. We usually have a training one every couple of weeks, and then we have and that's for the general broad overview, and then we'll hold similar ones to this one, to where they're into more depth. Now, there are other scenarios you can look at, and basically I'll just go in and look at those. I'm not going to save this. So I've got a all Roth Joe average here. And so basically you come in and you take his income, which is pretty low, Social Security and defined benefit plan, less than $60,000, and you look at his income here, and he has enough money to pay for the Roth conversion. And let's see, what have I got here? I must have changed it. Okay, so he could pay $77,000 and then have a benefit of $204,000. I don't personally consider this one to be a suitable sale. The reason is because $77,000. If I go look at his before, it takes out of his $110,000. It takes almost all of his liquid cash. Doesn't make any sense for this guy. And if I go in and look at the tax bracket situation, you can see he's in a 10% tax bracket. Well, a little bit of 15 right there. And we ended up taking clear up to the 33% bracket. And if you look at what we're saving, look at this. This is 15%. We're paying 33% now to save 15% later. To me, it just doesn't make any sense at all. So what I did is a separate one, which I called gradual. Remember, the Roth conversion software is a door opener. It's a question, should you do this? And the answer isn't always yes, and it isn't always yes in the same year, in the first year. If you look at the Roth, you can see we looked at his goal. He wanted higher retirement income, so we did some of that. And then we wanted to supplement the wife's income after he was dead, so we did $30,000 rollovers, 5 of them, which is $150,000, less than the $280,000 that he has. And you can see the total cost went down from $77,000 to $30,000. Now, one of the things you have to be aware of, and again, this is more talking points when you talk to the CPA, and if this person doesn't have a CPA, you can see the taxes are $20,000 before. I added a $30,000 rollover. So if you add that to his taxable income, 20 plus 30 equals 50. Why is it 58,000? Well, it's 58,000 because his Social Security becomes fully taxable with this IRA rollover at this particular time. Now, afterwards, when he starts pulling this income in, then his Social Security isn't taxable at all, so that's part of the reason it helps make it up later. And so, but it's something you have to discuss with the clients. These smaller clients are actually, in a lot of cases, harder than the bigger ones because of the Social Security situation. But keep in mind, I did one in 2009, 2010, 11, 12, and 13, 5 $30,000 rollovers, and I did that just by doing add and then picking the tax year. I could do another one for 2014, call it wife's income, and so forth. And then you look at the cash flow summary. You can see how you've helped solve the problem. This red line is thinner, but more importantly, you filled up toward the end, where the wife was below $75,000. She's now up into the $90,000 per year and paying a lot less tax, paying $248 instead of $327,000. Okay, there's other scenarios that we've got. I think there's a Singleman, Larry Singleman, I think, is the guy that wanted to use lifetime income riders to supplement his income. And so those are, you have some variable annuities, I'm assuming, Brent, that have income riders on them? Yeah, so let's go ahead and do that one. This one's a fixed annuity, American Equities Retirement Gold, and as you can see, there's quite a benefit there. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. So I'll go in, first of all, I'm going to select the product. Instead of American Equity, I'm going to use this hypothetical variable annuity at 5%. And then I'm going to use it as a guaranteed lifetime income rider starting at age 66. And you see in this particular case, it doesn't work out. It doesn't work out because the costs on the rider are so high that it just isn't able to produce the income. And so you'd have to look at that one there and see whether or not, because I don't even remember which model this was based on, but it was based on somebody who wanted their particular variable annuity put in there. Yeah. And so that was that particular variable annuity. Yours is probably more like 5% after expenses, so you use the hypothetical 5%, and then assuming the expenses would be put in there, and then you do it this way, starting in the 5th year. I don't even know what number to put in. I'm going to put in 24,000, increasing by 3% from 66 to 99, and you have to just kind of play with that. We don't have a little solve feature in here yet. But you can see 24,000 is a little bit too much. It actually ran out of money. That's why it went down, starting right in here. But the concept, at least, is true. It's at least coming up with a positive. So I'll go in and I'll edit this and change that to 20,000. The nice thing about those insurance products that have the guaranteed lifetime income riders, they know they'll never run out of money. But you can see, because I took less money out earlier, this thing went up higher. And this guy, it might be better, instead of paying $83,000 up front, to spread that over a couple of years. And you have to play with that. Break this $275,000 maybe to 380s or something like that. Yeah. These people that are making the real big amounts are the ones that, if they're already paying 35%, hey, they're used to that, and you don't have to worry about the bracket creep hitting on them. They just pay it all 35%, and they go right in there. And so, anyway, I've got a couple of these in here and if you want these, I can actually email these to you. Or actually, Carol, if you call the office, our phone number is right here on the front. 877-510-4702. If you want to change any of this information, let's say change your phone number or change your email address, then we change it for you. And then the next time you do your Internet update, you go File, Internet Update, and you just do that, and you'll be able to see that it doesn't take very long. It does the connecting to the web, then it does this Internet Update. It checks the files that are on your computer versus the ones that you're supposed to have with the latest update. I think it looks like 2 files got updated on mine. We're making minor tweaks all the time. And then if you go Help, About, you'll see when your next Internet update is. It's within 7 days. So don't get yourself caught on your laptop, going out to the client, turning on your computer, and then all of a sudden you didn't do your Internet update. Check this. Make sure you're not at what we call out of gas. Just do File, Internet Update anytime you want. It'll reset you to 7 more days, and then you can go. And then if you want to know when you expire, here's your expiration date, here's your activation date, and you can renew at any time. A lot of people watch for us to run specials, and then they just order another year. And so the cost of the calculator right now is $600. You do that by going Order, But on this weekend, since we're getting close to the end of the year and a lot of people are making their decision now, Brett, there's going to be a special. And so you can call Carol and ask her what that is. But it's $600 per year, and then there may be a discount code if there's a special. And then you go ahead and order that, and gives you another year. Do you have any other questions for me? Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. We can do a go-to meeting like we're doing right now. You can also call our number. I gave you the number to call. It's on the bottom of all of our web pages. Here's the 877-510-4702 or tech.support@imagisoft.com. But again, the easy way to get support is just go help about, and you see there's actually a support and an order link right here and a website link. But if you click that support, it'll go out and look, and I'm using Microsoft Outlook, and it'll open up the Outlook and put it right there. So again, if anyone listening to this has not installed the 30-day trial, then just go to the ImagiSOFT website and just go on this blue link, Install Roth IRA, then click the red link. And if you go to ImagiSOFT.com Roth, which is this one right here, then there's other information. Here's those different scenarios I was talking about. A couple of sales ideas. It's a 7-day trial. But, well, does it say 30 up there? It should only say 7. Well, oh, that's okay. That's okay. You know, sometimes I misspeak. It says on our website 7-day trial. We have extended that for certain people to go on vacation or, you know, didn't get a chance to look at it or something like that. We just want somebody to be serious is the reason we have a 7-day trial. And then there's a video, which doesn't always work. It depends on your browser settings. It works for me in Firefox. It works for me in Internet Explorer. It works for me in Google Chrome. But we've had people say that it just doesn't work. And if they're in a corporate environment, almost all corporates block these videos. You may have to go home and watch this video. But here is different ones that we record that are in these videos. Well, Brent, thank you very much. We appreciate you taking the time. It looks like it's been 53 minutes here on the phone. And really appreciate you taking the time to learn this. Well, good. When you sell your first case, let us know. We add 2 months free for people. If you go up here into the testimonials, and when somebody does like this Rich Greenberg here, he used the Roth IRA conversion. He did it at a seminar. He made his first sale like a week after the seminar. Met him at the Senior Market Expo in Las Vegas, and so he made the sale back in September, and he's using it as his primary way to get prospects in 2010. So he gets a testimonial here. He got the software for I think we actually gave him 4 months free because he got on this page here for the testimonials, and we also use him in our little blast email ad. So he ended up with a lot more free there. Here's a CPA, and I don't have her picture, but she searched the world for Roth IRA conversion software, found us, and then we have some other people from other software that we have. But one of the fun things here is if you search for Roth IRA software, you can see ImagiSOFT.com right here is at the very top. So that's a fun thing. We also this version of Firefox, I put the ad blocker, but we have some ads here that we're running. People are finding us that way, and of course we're doing some blast emails and other stuff out there. But one of the cool places that we found is that there's these little discussion groups and forums. If you put something in a discussion group and forum, then if you do that, let us know, and we'll give you 2 free months. All righty. Uh-huh. Yeah. Right. That's right. That's right. Well, that's good. You appreciate that. Now, our Stretch IRA is a sister product, and if you take that $1 million conversion, and going back to the first scenario where the wife wasn't going to take any money, and do this $1 million at 5% using the Roth IRA, it's real interesting. What happens is that we have this page, and there's a lot of backup to this page, a story about Ben Franklin and so forth. But here's the $1 million. This guy used a 10% bonus product. So let's get rid of that 10% bonus since you don't sell those products. Let's just say it was a variable annuity at 5%, and it'll have to recalculate. Oh, I forgot the broker-dealer section here. So instead of the pages coming up in blue like they do with fixed annuities, the green one is the FINRA past deal. And so you'll notice that all of the highlights are in green. That's how we know the difference between them all. But you come down here at this tree chart, which is like the most important page. Here's your $1 million. You elect income 0 because you don't have to in Roth. Mary inherits after he dies $2.6 million. Of course, she takes out income of 0. When she passes away at age 96, there's $7.3 million. And then it actually names the beneficiaries and draws a little chart. So as they take their required minimum distributions, that $7 million actually grows to $19 million of income. And so you can see here's the required minimum distribution, 0 for him. And then his wife inherits 0 for her. And then when the child, the oldest child, inherits, he'll be 73 when his mother passes away, and then it shows you what the required minimum distribution is for an inherited Roth IRA. And that's the child. Then we have a grandchild. And here's another grandchild that's only 42 when she inherits. And so this one here is, a lot of people think it's the best software out there. And I'll give you one of the codes right now that you should know about. When you order the Roth, go into order, when you order the Stretch, if you put the discount code Roth, and I don't mind giving this code away to anybody who's listened this far into it, they get this $200 savings. Instead of being $300, you add that to your cart, you notice that it's 67% off. It's now $100. So anybody who orders our Roth software can get the Stretch software for $100. We consider them real tightly related software packages. Well, thank you again for spending all the time, Brent, and I will let you go out and make some money with this stuff. Thank you, Brent. Thank you. And all righty. Thanks a lot. You bet. Bye-bye.